Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
This is one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I bet not say you not a bed.
That's it.
Well, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I have one of the men who I've looked up to for pretty much my entire life, and the Jim Jeffcoat, the pride of Arizona State, Forkum for life, proud husband, proud father of an amazingly beautiful family, and a Dallas Cowboy legend, Jim Jeffcoat. And the Vince Lombardi trophy behind you. Welcome to Stories Inside the Man Cave.
Yeah. Say, how you doing, Sean? How's everything going?
I'm doing great. You know, it's a beautiful day, but looks are deceiving because you step outside and we're not built for this. It's only 45 degrees, but the wind chill is like, I felt like I was up in Oklahoma City again.
Well, yeah, it's 38 here, and the wind chill is down. They say it's about 24. So I understand what you're going through.
Oh, well, we must be related, or we've acclimated to Texas quite well, because we can't handle this. We can't handle this at all. It's, you know, I like this. One thing about Stories Inside the Man Cave, we obviously want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, but the most important story, in my opinion, is in segment one, almost always, is getting to know people on a level that they may not know. And, you know, it all begins with you. And I know you have a much greater story than having worn that amazing blue star on that silver helmet. Dallas Cowboys defensive end from 83 to 94. That part of your life, how do you sum it up? Is there a way to summarize that 11, 12-year career in maybe a paragraph or in a short story?
Yeah. For the Cowboys, it was 12 years, and for the Bills, it was 3 more years. So I played a total of 15 years, and it was something. When I was a kid, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in New Jersey, and I grew up across from Brooklyn. I used to see the lights over there, and I always said, someday I'm going to play in the New York Lights. I'm going to play, and that was a dream of mine. And the dream came true. I got the opportunity to play in the lights. I got the opportunity to play in Super Bowls. I got an opportunity to play championship games, and an opportunity to be a number 1 draft choice. And that's a blessing within itself. And to be honest with you, when I went to college, I wasn't looking at it from that standpoint. But as it progressed in college, I thought I had the opportunity, and I was blessed enough to get that opportunity.
Right. And the one thing that I remember about you, even as a youngster, because I think you can relate when you're an impressionable young guy, probably 8 years old, you're watching your favorite team. And I remember, obviously, Tom Landry, all those great players that from Randy to so many yourself. You mimic those players, even though they didn't play the position you ended up playing. Who in the NFL at your time, when you were the young guy, who not mentored but left an impression on you that you really motivated you to play like that individual?
Well, there was obviously Harvey Martin, who I eventually replaced after a year, and playing next to Randy White for many years. I modeled some of the things and mentored me, and then the one who was the biggest influence was Ed Too Tall Jones, because we played the same, and he had been obviously in the flex defense, and he taught me the nuances of it. And then the one that was Ernie Stockner, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he played in the NFL as a defensive lineman for 19 years. He played 19 years, so he was my position coach. And they really taught me how to be a pro and how to react to things that obviously during the game and how to defend against things that the offense were trying to do to me, and especially in the flex defense. So those guys were my mentors.
Mentors, Ernie Stauntner, I do vividly remember the images. Very intense.
Yes.
That stout guy who
yes.
Was he that tough of a coach too?
He was a coach who understood because he was in that position before. But the greatest thing about Ernie, people don't realize, Ernie was only about 6 foot tall, weighed 235, and to be in the Hall of Fame playing defensive line, that shows you his toughness. And he also was a war vet too. People don't know.
Right.
Yeah, he was.
Forgot about that.
Before he came to the NFL, he was obviously serving in the military, and there was a lot of things about Ernie you could love, and you understood that the toughness, the grit, and everything he did, and that's how we thought we had to be, and we should have been in that position.
Now, we all know it is a show anytime involving the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, everybody talks about, well, they're America's team. Of course, that's what I grew up. They are America's team. Why do you think that has remained America's team despite the lack of recent success?
And the reason it is because the notoriety, and that's with Tex Ram and people like him and Gil Brandt, they made it that there. But it wasn't just America's team. It was Mexico. It was people that were everywhere, and they followed the Cowboys. I didn't follow them on the East Coast, but there were a lot of Cowboys fans on the East Coast. And I mean, there was a time when we went to West to LA and we'd had more fans, or Arizona and places like that. We'd have more fans than the home team. And that was just the way. And they built it like that. The cheerleaders, the star, and the colors and everything. And that was it is. I mean, when we would go to hotels, it was like we were rock stars. We had to sneak in the back because there were so many fans out front. So that was a part of being a Cowboy, and you realize it. And if you didn't, you could get yourself in a lot of trouble. So you had to realize that when you're a Dallas Cowboy, people look at you differently.
Now, you had an amazing opportunity to not only play for the late, great Tom Landry, who, for people watching either across the country or in other parts of this region or right here in the great state of Texas, Tom Landry is a former Texas Longhorn himself. A lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
He's from Mission, Texas, right?
Yes, he's from Mission, Texas.
Okay.
And he was from Mission, Texas. He also served in the military. He was a pilot. Coach Landry designed our offense and defense, and he critiqued both our offense and defense. He would we'd have 5-6 hour meetings because he critiqued every position.
Wow.
It was the most incredible thing because obviously he knew more about it than anybody because he created it.
Yeah. So he was a CEO, I always heard feedback that how knowledgeable, calm demeanor, and that fedora hat, and just how, obviously wearing the suit. So you go from a guy who was cerebral, calm, but he had his own way of connecting with his players, to Jimmy, who was, a funny, fun, spirited guy, but he was a hard-nosed coach himself, correct?
Yeah, Jimmy was different. Jimmy obviously studied psychology at the University of Arkansas, and he knew how to work with it. And I always say this, he could take a group of alpha dogs, because we had a lot of alpha dogs at that time on that team, and he could make them play as a team. That was his strongest strength, is that he, at being at the University of Miami and obviously Oklahoma State, he knew how to get the players to play at a different level and make them play within the team concept. And that's the thing. And he did have a lot of energy. He was very demanding. But he always said this, and I always remember this about Jimmy. was he never treated every player the same. He had different rules for different players, and there was a reason behind that, because he knew what players he could do certain things with, and he knew players that he couldn't because they couldn't take it. And he wanted players that he knew would run through a wall for him, and he treated them. I mean, it was great for me. I loved playing for him. I also got the opportunity to play for Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
And Barry Switzer, my last year, Barry Switzer was like the grandfather that you always wanted. That was it.
So I got to know Barry not from when he was with the Cowboys, when I was in Oklahoma City, of course. You know, Barry is still, they call him the king up there, and because of OU, and rightfully so. When you were there through that awkward transition, I mean, Jerry's changed since then. Jimmy is still Jimmy, making a name for himself on the broadcast side, but he and Jerry have seemed to have mended all that. Bygones be bygones. We all make mistakes, but
yes,
was it, as it was portrayed in the media, was all that reality, or was that all just a honest mistake that happened that one person has grown up since then? Or how would you describe that?
The way I would describe it, honestly, to you, Sean, is that you had two guys that had huge egos. And that was just the honest truth about it. And they both had been successful. Jerry, obviously, very successful in business. Jimmy, obviously, very successful as a football coach.
Right.
And there was going to be some clashes, no question. And you have to understand, this goes back to when they played on the national championship team in Arkansas. And I'll tell you why. Jerry played offensive guard and Jimmy played nose guard. So I'm sure they got into it in practice.
100%.
No question. And I'm sure some of those things, they just stayed. They wanted to be the center of attention, and you can't in there. The things that Jimmy taught us about team, they were working as a team, but as it progressed, somebody wanted more, obviously, of the accolades than the other one.
Knowing what you know now, wouldn't you like to have been an innocent bystander at one of those Arkansas practices for Frank Boyle's team?
Yes.
Those two going at it?
Yes, and you know who the offensive line coach was? Barry Switzer.
Oh, my God. How did I not know that?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Barry Switzer was the offensive line coach.
I was not aware of that at all.
Yes, Barry Switzer was the offensive line coach when they won the national championship.
Wow. Oh, my God. The things I'm not claiming to have known everything about Arkansas or this region's college football dating back, but the Jim Jeffcoat just taught me something new, but I always learn something new when we have conversations through him. And speaking of that Jeffcoat name, we got to talk about your family, and that is the two words you said, my legacy. I think that was an interview when we sat down with Jackson when you were at Colorado.
Yes.
You mentioned your family, and you referred to them as your legacy, beginning with your lovely wife, Tammy. You have the twins who I'm connected to, being Jacqueline and Jackson, and then your other kids who are just.
Yes, I have Jaron, who's my oldest.
Right.
He played at Norwich University in Vermont. He played basketball. And then Jasmine, my youngest, she's in grad school and still playing. And she did her undergrad at the University of Denver. And because the University of Colorado Springs had what she wanted to major in.
Right.
In her master's, she obviously went there, and she had 1 year of eligibility, so she's playing now and having a tremendous time there.
How would you describe? Because I see a lot whenever your wife, she has is it fitness competition or bodybuilding? She was in
fitness competition.
So in a conversation with Jackson, he said, we are obviously, including you, her biggest fans, but he said something, I can't remember verbatim, that she keeps you guys going. What do you think he means by that, or meant by that?
She stays on them. She stays on them. Yeah, that's what it means. She would obviously, because I was coaching and playing, she stayed on them and made sure that they took care of whatever they needed to be accountable for.
I think, and I think I told you this a few years ago, that the way you guys, and I can't remember exactly how you put it, but it was very inspiring to me that it's hard. It's a hard life at times being a coach, following, because of how it is. You move a lot.
Yes.
And that's expected. That's part of it.
Yes.
Especially if you're a successful coach. To have a loyal partner and to have children and keep them all together and raise them the way you guys did.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how you put it, but it was probably one of the most inspiring things I've ever heard. And I don't remember exactly how you put it. Do you remember? I can't remember.
No, I'm not familiar with how I put that, but yeah. Also, I compliment my children because, and especially my oldest, because he had the opportunity and he could have been a brat, but he probably was the best. He was probably the best big brother that's ever been. I mean, he was great with his brothers and sisters, and he still is my oldest. And he always when he ever did anything, he would include him. He was like another parent to him. Wow. And they still look up to him. They still talk to him every other day and ask him, some things. And they ask me, obviously, but he was a great kid to have around in your household.
Well, I'll tell you what, since I've been following you guys, especially when the kids were older and in the twins, when they went through their recruitment process, just you guys made it fun, from Jacqueline's recruitment to Sherry Cole in Oklahoma, to Jackson, the announcement at Plano West when he was coming to Texas. And then the image that I remember, and then going to Texas State to do that feature story that we did when Jacqueline was at Texas State.
Yes.
And the one that got a little emotional was Jackson's senior night.
Yes.
And you're standing there being the stoic one. Everybody else is emotional. Here's Jim, just being the strength of it all, because you're like, man, I've done this before.
Oh man, it was tough because it was more emotional actually with my oldest.
Yeah,
because we realized that this was going to go on again and again. Like, wow, this is going to be emotional because he's finally a senior. He's finally going to get ready for obviously other parts of his life, and that hit me hard. You caught me after the second and third one instead of the first one because I was bawling after that one.
Hey, that was like deeper on the list of resume achievements. You got the third child through senior night.
Yes. Jacqueline and Jackson, plus having both of them there.
Yeah.
And those two, oh man. As you know, Jacqueline is extremely outgoing. She's the life of the party.
100%. She is. I wish there was one day that she would express her opinions.
Is there any day that she doesn't?
Absolutely no. They are. You guys have done a fabulous job raising kids.
Thank you.
What was your, football right now? Everyone thinks the NFL, but for Jackson, he's really in tune with that Canadian Football League piece, and
he really is
a career out of it. What is it that he's done differently, or has he taken any advice from you? Because he understands the marketing side of it as well.
Yes. And one thing I told him is really get in where you fit in. Yeah. And he fits well there. And then what he's done is he's embraced it. He wasn't worried at this point. He's not worried about the NFL. He's worried about how am I going to do better. That's why he stayed in the CFL, and that's why he stayed in Winnipeg. It's not always about how much money you make. It's where you're with people that respect you, that want you there, and to have fun. He likes Willie Jefferson. Willie Jefferson is one of his best friends, and they're extremely close. He lives in Hutto.
Oh, I didn't know. I knew it was Austin area. I didn't know Hutto. Wow.
Yeah, so he lives there, and they talk all the time. They were even talking while they were doing contract negotiation. Hey, well, we're going to go wherever we're going. We're going together. And then Adam Big Hill, and he's really made some really good friends up there. And the head coach is amazing.
Now, who was the head coach at Winnipeg?
Michael Shea.
Okay.
And he's a Hall of Famer up there. College football, not college, excuse me, Canadian football Hall of Famer. And he's a Canadian, but Jackson just raves about him. And I met Mike, and his defensive coordinator is a gentleman who played at Colorado State named Richie Hall. Mm-hmm. And they think the world of him, and he thinks the world of them. He found his niche, and that's what he loves. He found his niche.
And sometimes that takes all of us nearly a lifetime to find that. Fit in where you can get in, or get in where you fit in. And that is the name of the game. Jim, this last part of the first segment has become the best part of every first segment, the Man Cave story, which is brought to you by Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. For all your insurance needs, go to saxtoninsurance.com, a Longhorn legacy, and he's a Westlake OG, knows a thing or two about this area. Now, the Man Cave stories, there've been a wide range, but what I can tell you is the one constant, they have been rather comical. Phil Dawson told a story on his Man Cave story about there's a line or there's a stack of towels in the NFL shower room, which are strictly for cleaning your behind. And someone accidentally got into the line of sight where those are being tossed, smacked upside up.
Oh, man.
A teammate's face. What do you remember? I mean, from any era, or maybe it's something to do with your family, a Man Cave story that is absolutely hilarious that you love telling from time to time.
This is the one I like telling. We had a offensive lineman. I'm not going to mention his name, but he would always Randy White, when we go to training camp, Randy White had this big bowl of like M&M and just little snacks in there. Well, this offensive lineman came and would always come in there and get all his snacks. So Randy said, I'm going to fix them. So Randy got some kibbles and bits and put in there. And he was eating the kibbles and bits. He said, man, this doesn't taste that good. The offensive lineman. Oh, so I love that story. And I was there, and I was watching him eat the kibbles and bits.
Oh, man.
That's my Man Cave story.
That's a good one. That is that would require a half a bottle of Pepto. Oh my God. Hey Jim, I've got to ask you though before we take a quick break. The two I was wrong. There's two Lombardi trophies for the
Super
Bowl champion. So how long have they been there on your mantle or somewhere?
They've been there for a long time, since the 90s. But the one that's the one is that the other trophy is obviously there's a picture of my parents, but is when I won the MVP at the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. I was the MVP. I was the Fiesta Bowl. Obviously, the defensive player of the game.
Did you guys? You beat Oklahoma. You beat Barry Switzer, right?
Yeah, we beat Barry Switzer.
How ironic is that?
Marcus Dupree.
Oh, was that his freshman year?
Yeah, that was the best that never was. I mean, but he was 275 pounds, and to see a man that big, I weighed 245 at the time, and to see a man that big that could run that fast was pretty impressive.
He's that story. I mean, he's a great guy.
No question.
But that documentary and his story, unbelievable.
Yeah, that is.
If no one's not seen it yet,
just
go on the ESPN app. I'm over here promoting a product, but hey, it's the truth. Go to the ESPN app on your smart TV, and I love that one. What is your favorite 30 for 30 by any chance?
The Rodman one.
Yeah,
the Dennis Rodman. I thought that was really
well done.
Well done, Rodman.
And
I always see him around town, so it makes it even more. I mean, he's actually, people would think that he's done some things in business that people don't realize, and he's done well.
I've heard he is actually he's misunderstood. He's really really incredibly intelligent person.
Yes, he is,
and business savvy.
Yes, he is. No question.
My brother, we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we're going to talk all things Cowboys and those beloved 49ers. And I hope everyone took that as sarcasm, by the way. Jim Jeffcoat, good friend, great man, and a Cowboys legend. That's coming up on the other side of this break. For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the stories inside the Man Cave Boys recommended you. Mustard Seed Mountain Ministries. The origin of the name, well, it's quite a story, a moving one at that. It's rooted to a mom who has a passion for photography, a mom whose daughter is battling pediatric cancer. Capturing these special moments throughout this bout inspired an idea to capture the same moments for other families who have children experiencing the same fight. You can help support this tremendous organization by attending this benefit on Saturday, February 5th at the Lone Oak Barn in Round Rock, Texas. For $20, you'll experience a day of family fun with live music, a barbecue plate, just to name a few, and you'll get to view some of these powerful photos. Learn more about this event and about Mustard Seed Mountain Ministries by visiting their Facebook page and their website, which is also linked on their Facebook page as well. Hey, back with the legend himself, Jim Jeffcoat, episode 112. This segment 2 right here is brought to you by farmhousedelivery.com. It's Texas-grown organic produce and meats, and they're just grown here just in Cross Ranches in the great state of Texas. And it is based in Austin, Texas. Just go to farmhousedelivery.com, click on orders for milk, heads, produce, meats. But be sure at the end, put your promo code MANCAVE for 20% off. And Jim, one thing that I never liked before that I now like because of Farmhouse, spaghetti squash.
I'm sure it's delicious.
It's you have to it has to be a developed taste, so to speak.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Well, this is a fun week because tomorrow the playoffs began. They kick off in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys are hosting a divisional playoff game against an old playoff rivalry, San Francisco. Before we jump into that, I think I need to show a video and pretty much explains this. I think you know what I'm going to pull up.
I know what you're going to pull up.
It's heartbreaking for us Gen Xers.
3rd and 3. We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Dwight Clark!
All right, I'm done. I'm a biased Cowboys fan. I can't hide it. You were a little bit older than me when that happened. Do you remember watching that game by any chance?
Actually, I was in college at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't remember watching it, to be honest with you. I was a normal college student.
Yeah.
I had other things that I was involved with. I've never saw that play until I got to the Cowboys. And then I understood the rivalry. But if you ever get an opportunity, you talk about it. There's a program called Timeline, and it'll tell you the history of the Cowboys and the 49ers. And it was interesting.
I'm making note of that. And how I don't know that now, I should be ashamed of myself.
And that tells you the Cowboys in the early 70s to get to the NFC Championship game, beat the 49ers 3 times, I think it was. And then this was on, and then that was in the late 70s. That was the first time obviously the 49ers had won, because they never beat the Cowboys in a championship game until then.
So it was long overdue for the 49ers.
Yes, no question.
It's interesting because it's good to see, because Kyle Shanahan, the former Longhorn, is the head coach out there. A lot of people look at San Francisco and their record and just getting in, but in all honesty, from what you know, is it fair for me to say you would, if you were a head coach right now, you would not want to face San Fran in the first round? Because I think they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, and they're well coached.
Yeah, they're well coached, and they play bully ball. And they got a player named Debo. And if you want to play bully ball, you better have a Debo and that. But what they do well is they play defense. They got Eric Armstead on there, obviously Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. And you look at their defense, they do have some. And their offensive line is a physical offensive line. And that's the thing that the Cowboys are going to have to stop the run. They're going to have to play the run. But you're right. This is a good game. And I be honest with you, if I was the Cowboys, they got to come to my place. They got to play in my house. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to play at a different level because you have the advantage. They said what happened against the Rams is there were more 49ers fans than Rams fans at the game.
Wow.
It's not going to happen. Not in Texas. Not in Texas. We want to make sure of that.
Yep. Cowboy Stadium tomorrow in Arlington. A
whiteout.
A whiteout.
Yes.
And the tailgating, everyone will be lubed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be, I would have to say, and I'm not being biased, I'm just calling this like I see it and have seen it across the NFL. It is one of the best tailgating scenes and one of the best game day environments.
Yes.
Cowboys football. It does have that's been one constant.
Yes. And it's going to be fun for both teams, because the one thing I can say about Dallas, and as opposed to other stadiums, obviously Philadelphia that I'm talking about, the fans will be respectful of the 49ers fans. And that's their team. They have the opportunity, if they want to cheer for them, that's fine.
Yeah.
But this is Texas. This is Dallas. This is the Cowboys. There are going to be more Cowboys fans there. Oh,
blue. There'll be more white and silver and blue. Now, Jim, I have to ask you this. I see when Dallas is playing to their potential, Dak's on a much different level this year.
Yes.
I mean, we all see the roller coaster.
Yes.
You know the criticism that comes with being a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes.
It's really unlike any other organization.
No question.
But I think this is the best Cowboys team since Dez did catch it in Green Bay. He caught that ball.
I can't argue with you on that. I think you're right. I think there's some things that has to happen in this game.
Yeah.
Is that they got to control the ball, and they got to be able to run the ball effectively, the Cowboys. And they can with Pollard and Zeke, but they're going to have to play. They're going to have to show up. I never forget what Jimmy Johnson would always tell us. If you're fighting a big bear, you better have a big stick. And that's true. This is a big bear, and we better have a big stick. We better play physical, because you're right. You said earlier that the 49ers are playing at a high level. We have to play at that high level. We got to play where we score. We can outscore them, but we also got to be able to make sure they can't control the ball. And that's what Shanahan. The fortunate thing with Dan Quinn, I know Dan very well, is he was the head coach when Shanahan was the OC. When they went to the Super Bowl at Atlanta. Shanahan was the OC and Dan was the head coach. So he kind of has an understanding and philosophy of what Shanahan's trying to do. And that should be an advantage for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I didn't. I totally forgot about it. I don't know why. I promise you, I don't mean to let you down. I did know that, but I didn't.
Okay.
I forgot about that connection. That's interesting. I'm not going to ask for a prediction, but if you were playing for the Cowboys currently, what's at defensive end? What's your personal objective? What's your primary goal?
My personal goal is to disrupt Jimmy G, disrupt him. Even if I don't sack him, I want to get him off his mark or get him off so he doesn't feel comfortable back there. When you do that to quarterbacks, that forces them into unforced errors, and that's what you want to do. I want him to know I'm there. I might have ate an onion or something and made my breath smell or something, so I can get him a little bit worse. And I want him to know I'm coming and smell my breath coming before I get there.
How about a garlic clove?
That might have been even better. Garlic might have upset my stomach, though.
I'll give you that Pepto bottle for that. Hey, this is one thing, because of all the negativity that surrounds us in this world, we like to reverse that trend with this.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
So tell me something good segment sponsored by Kevin Hutchison, Realty Austin. The legend, Jim Jeffcoat, Dallas Cowboy great, a Hall of Fame dad, Hall of Fame husband. Tell me something good, either going on in your world or maybe that you see that others haven't yet. That's
well,
good.
The good thing is that despite what's going on in the pandemic, we have people doing positive things. It might be a janitor in there, and we're going to, in my company, we're working with these and give them a good person award and things of that nature. The good thing too is that we woke up this morning where we have the opportunity to do this show. That's good. That's a good thing. And things there, and I'll have the opportunity to go to the Cowboys game tomorrow. That's good.
That's great.
Good. Yeah. So these things are good. And then I had an opportunity to see last weekend. I saw my daughter, Jacqueline. She came up to see me, and this week Jackson came up. So that's always good.
I think he told me that it was a belated Christmas because of, the commitment to Canadian football. Mm-hmm. That you had a belated Christmas, and that's
yes,
that is good. Hey, we'll wait on you. We'll wait on you.
That's right. That's right. No question.
Hey, Jim, I'll tell you something good. Regardless of how people feel about vaccines and everything else, I think we're turning a corner. That I've seen here this week. I had COVID and the flu together a week and a half ago. And I've got that brain fog that everyone talked about that I didn't quite understand. Now I truly understand. But what's good about what I've seen through this, that I think to what you were saying, there's more people jumping on board to help others and quit being so divisive. And I tell all San Francisco fans this week, much love and good luck, but we're not talking.
Well, wait a minute. I'm not going that far. You'll tell them, and you can relay the message, but I'm going to leave that alone.
But now, if it was the Reds, the Washington football team,
politically correct.
Yes.
Then I tell you those things.
Yeah.
This year was one of my friends is a big Washington football team.
Yeah.
We gave him tickets to a game, the one that the Cowboys scored 56 points. You should have seen his face.
I bet that was not a pleasant reaction.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
It is so much fun beating those guys when you're a Cowboys fan.
Yes.
And the Eagles. But you know what? The Eagles, don't underestimate them in the playoffs.
I would agree. Because they got a Texas guy running it, Jalen Hurts, and his father's head coach at Channelview High School in Houston.
And former Crimson Tide and Sooner quarterback.
Sooner quarterback, yes.
Yeah, he's a good lineage right there.
Yes, no question.
Jim,
always. If you think about it, there are 3 Crimson Tide quarterbacks in there, but there's some Texas quarterbacks in there too.
That's a good point. It is. Yeah. Saban. Oh my God, it's You saw the good PR move he made after the loss.
Yeah.
The other night. He said, "Hey, this is about you guys."
Yes, yeah, that's right.
This doesn't end Alabama football.
No, and it won't. It won't.
They'll be back, and I think with Sarkisian,
Texas is going to be back with Sark.
Sooner than later.
Very soon. They're going to be shocked.
There's a lot of Longhorns who watch this show. How would you summarize your feeling about the Texas football program moving forward?
It's a process, and Sark understands what he wants to accomplish, and people got to understand this wasn't going to happen overnight. This is not going to happen. And now he's starting to get the players that he needs to make him successful. And he will. He'll get them through, obviously, recruiting, and then he'll also get them through transfer portals and other ways. And, I mean, he'll get some good players, and they will bring Texas football back.
You heard it from a wise words of a guy who knows what he's talking about. Jim Jeffcoat played at a high level in college and for the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously the father of former Longhorn Jackson Jeffcoat. And Jim, thank you, my friend. This has been fun. Any way I can return the favor, let me know. You tell the family I said hello.
I will.
For the entire Jeffcoat family and the OG Man Cave boys, Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harge, we are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.